my name is Nick Hibma. I'm from Northwest Iowa. I farm here, a lifelong Republican, conservative. So I first went to Ukraine in 2014. Our church was taking a short-term trip there through my wife's parents that had a connection to the missionary we know there. We would do an English camp and share the gospel. We have a lot of good friends there, and we would go pretty much year after year. Lots of great memories and good friendships in Ukraine. I was in Ukraine of March of this year, 2023, visiting friends, pastors, and our missionary friend in Ukraine. You know, ever since the war started, and even before the war started, the full-scale war in February of 22, I just saw lots of Russian propaganda just infiltrating our news and people's thoughts or what they thought about the situation. And I was like, I just felt God telling me that I needed to go and, if anything, be a source of information. There's been Russian propaganda spreading that Christians are persecuted, and that is incorrect. Totally not true. The basis of that is the Russian Orthodox Church was in Ukraine, and they were trying to work against Ukraine, and so that's where that like small nugget of truth was twisted and made people to believe that Christians are persecuted, which is not true. Ironically, in Russian occupied territory, Christian pastors, evangelical Christian pastors, are tortured and killed. The irony is that evangelical Christians in America, a good chunk of them, because of the Russian propaganda, do not support the evangelical Christians in Ukraine because they've been believing these lies. I've thought before, like, if I could go back in time and be alive during World War II and do something to prevent the Holocaust, I would. That same opportunity is happening right now in Ukraine with the atrocities and genocide and just rape and murder. When people tell me like they don't support aid to Ukraine, it pretty much tells me that our friends, like, their lives mean nothing. If aid goes away and Ukraine runs out of weapons to fight, the way I see it is Ukraine will be turned into a big concentration camp. I see it as one of the most black and white wars since World War II. The one thing the Russians are good at is their propaganda, and they have used our political divide in our country to get people to believe lies. There's been corruption in Ukraine. However, the background of that corruption is being a part of communism and the Soviet Union. The continued influence of the Russians trying to manipulate and keep Ukraine under their sphere of influence has also brought corruption. But what we saw from when we first went in 2014 to even 5 years later in 2019, we saw the country just changing before our eyes and just advancing themselves and becoming a better society and wanting to rid themselves of that. And one thing I learned when I was over there in March is that the war, if anything, has accelerated the changes away from any sort of corruption. In my lifetime, I don't know that I've seen taxpayer dollars go to a better use than us supporting Ukraine in this way. It breaks my heart to see fellow Republicans and conservatives believe that it's the worst thing to do in the world. Every time we've been to Ukraine, Ukrainians love America, love Americans, have a desire to be like us as a country. We would go every year and do this English camp over the 4th of July, and we would always celebrate our American Independence Day. And sorry. So they love America,